Clinton possibly under hypnosis in between feed at the White House and stuff like that. A lot of people have suggested that Michael Jackson had a handler, that it was a person called Majestic Magician, who was like his personal magician, basically.
So I guess would you say then that let's assume that that's true, that some of these famous singers or what have you are being controlled. They're not in charge of their own decisions, shall we say.
Well,
that the reason would be that they are influencing so many millions of young people that somebody else behind a veil will want to take control of that person and therefore manipulate the younger generation. Is that what you're saying is the purpose of it?
Well, let's look at the anti-panty set, right, which was basically
Beg your pardon?
Well, this is what Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears, the anti-panty set. Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears and Paris Hilton, in a short period of time, became very good friends and spent about 3 weeks wandering around LA, getting out of cars with no knickers, flashing their knickers.
So
now,
not
knickers.
Anti-panty set. This is like
this was reported
three famous sort of stars.
Yeah, they all
sounds like an advert for
well,
women's products.
Well, you know, I'm no prude, right? You know, I really don't. You know, I'm into ridiculously obscure Japanese horrors and stuff. I don't care about that sort of stuff. But when you've got like marketing, Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears and people like this. Toddlers, you know, 6- and 7-year-old girls who are singing back the lyrics. Let's examine NSYNC's lyrics, examine, you know, all the boy band's lyrics, and they're singing to 13-, 14-year-old girls, telling them about how they want, what they want to do to them and stuff like that. Again, you know, I'm not a prude, but just be aware that what you're doing is you're sexualizing these kids younger and younger and younger and younger. And so, you know, maybe that is there.
So we've got some footage of some of these celebrities, which are you saying that you think suggests they're under mind control?
Well, it's a fact. It's a reported fact that Britney Spears has got dissociative identity disorder. It's a reported fact that Lindsay Lohan has got dissociative identity disorder. She's got two completely separate personalities, one called Diane, one called Margot. Britney Spears has a personality that doesn't know who Britney Spears is, that speaks in an English accent, okay? And apparently when she was taken to Cedar Sinai, when she had her breakdown, she spoke in an English accent all the way through and didn't know about who Britney Spears was. She shaved her head. I mean, that's the other thing. She shaved her head and everyone went, oh, she's on drugs, she's crazy. If you read accounts of Arizona Wilder, Kathy O'Brien, people like that, they shave their head when they break their programming, and it's to sort of sully their image, because if you think of them as like they're the sort of, you know,
blonde hair.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to destroy that that image, and so at least for a time being, I'm useless to them.
So we'll have a look at a clip now. This is the first one. I think is Anna Nicole Smith.
The 9-year-old at one point switches the talking doll off to prove.
Tell us what's happening here, Neil.
Well, what this is, I mean, this was brought to my attention. This Freeman of Freeman TV did an excellent thing called Anna Nicole, Britney, and Mind Control. What this is Anna Nicole Smith in the embodying an alter personality. Now, people will look at this and say, oh, she's on drugs, she's stuff like that. She's not. Look at her mannerisms, look at the way she speaks, look at the way she moves and walks. She's a child. She is in the personality of a child. Now, people have tried to pass this off saying she's on drugs. What drugs? Get me some of that, because that's wicked, that is. Like, you know, I've never seen anything that does that. That's amazing.
So what is it that she... Let's just take a look at it. So she's got a...
If you listen to the inflection of her voice, just listen to the way she talks and watch the way that she runs across the courtyard.
So you think she's been programmed to be a child?
I think she has. I mean, Freeman claims that basically she's got lots of personalities. It would fit. She's a Playboy model. She's similar to Jar Jar Gabor, and there's even suggestions that she's vaguely related to Paris Hilton, who is, of course, Jar Jar Gabor's niece. But you know, the Freeman basically claims that Howard K. Stern, who's the bloke that's filming her, is her mind control handler. And if you listen to the way that she's talking later, he says, oh, people think you've lost your mind. And she says, I haven't lost my mind. He says, oh, I'm kidding. He's winding her up. He knows what's going off. And what's really strange is there's another little girl there that's getting terrified. If you listen to this bit, watch this bit, she doesn't know where she is. Now, what they're doing on the news is they're trying to pass this off as, oh, she was drug addicted and such like that. The first autopsy, what's interesting as well is the beginning of this news report, it shows a picture of Anna Nicole Smith covered in vomit. That's her dead. Why are they showing her dead?
Yeah.
That's trauma shocking, people, isn't it? Like, but as I say, Freeman basically claims that she was famous for being a Playboy model that married Howard Marshall. Now, Howard Marshall was the 90-year-old oil magnate who it is suggested was probably an ex-Nazi that was given this girl okay, to live out the last years of his life as like a present. Afterwards, I mean, there's a whole other conspiracy about the child. She's had a daughter who's going to inherit all the money. Who the father of that was a big court case, and this is where this footage came out, which is very, very strange because it was completely inadmissible as evidence. It's got nothing to do with the case. It was just shown. Now, as I say, people were saying that she was on drugs. The first autopsy that was done on Anna Nicole Smith proved that basically she wasn't on drugs. She'd not been on drugs for many, 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 many months. There was no evidence of it in a uterus or anything like that because she was pregnant at the time. None of that. The second autopsy showed that she died of a drug overdose. Now, interestingly, the second autopsy was, I forget the guy's name, but it was performed by the same person who did the second autopsy on John Benet Ramsey.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's suspicious then, you think?
Very, very suspicious. Completely suspicious.
Right. And there's a second clip here of Anna Nicole Smith.
This is just more of her as a clown. This is sort of... this is the sort of bit that people might have seen where she doesn't really know what's going on. And she's almost being teased by Howard Stern. And the question is, why are you filming her? If this is his girlfriend who's heavily pregnant at the time, why is he traumatising another little girl by allowing his girlfriend to act crazy?
So this footage, was this footage sort of leaked then, or
well,
did it come out by accident?
It didn't come out by accident. They played it in court. This was on Fox or whichever channel it was, and basically they were discussing where Anna Nicole Smith was to be buried.
Yes.
And for no reason at all, they introduced this video. And it was said in court, this is inadmissible, it's pointless, and the judge says, I don't care, play it anyway. And then it just showed that. And it was never really mentioned again. It was just shown.
Now, this next one is Britney Spears. Tell us what's happening here.
Oh, this is the one where Britney Spears is basically... Oh, no, this is the one... You'll find this on the internet. This is perhaps an example of Britney Spears flicking between personalities. Basically, if you look halfway through a question, it's almost like she goes, hello, hello, and it's almost as if she's doesn't know where she is. Now, people will pass that off. If you look at the comments on YouTube and stuff like that, people say, well, she's upset, she's in the public eye and stuff like that.
So just tell us when she flips personalities.
It'll be fairly obvious.
This spasm of publicity about what happened from Mexico to London.
It was pretty rough, yeah.
She doesn't know where she is.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Ah, weird. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. Ew. Strong Britney. Yeah, it was a weird.
So she's back now? Or?
Possibly. I mean, this is the thing. If you've got so many personalities in your head, basically, at the one point she says, hello, hello, weird, and she doesn't really know where she is. There was the famous performance when she sort of made her comeback on the MTV Awards, where everyone was saying, oh, look at her, she's so fat, she's so out of time. There was a dance bit where she's coming down some steps. I mean, obviously, there's a certain Freemasonic symbolism to that anyway. But I swear, on this MTV Awards, halfway down the steps, she stops and goes, I don't know where I am. And then a couple of seconds later, and then after that, she's out of time and stuff like that. But I think there is evidence that basically, I mean, she grew up in a family that, euphemistically, it was said that we never wore clothes in our house. It just wasn't done. We always used to just walk around in the nude and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Courtney Love.
Courtney Love, perhaps. Families do that, don't
of course they do, but again, it's all pieces to the puzzle, isn't it?
Right.
Courtney Love, basically, who's perhaps not the most trustworthy person in the world, but it's certainly interesting that she would say this. She wrote on her Facebook account on the day, I believe it was the day that basically Britney was cast off to hospital, she said, Britney's dad molested her. Imagine the father molested you, owning you for slavery, while you were forced to sing songs picked for their sexual content every night. Insane, right? But I have it on first-hand authority and fight as hard as she is, and yet she still did not pull that card. Basically, Courtney Love's suggesting that Britney's dad is perhaps a handler, or, you know, has certainly sexually abused her, and that she knows that Britney Spears knows this, or whatever. You know, again, it's all hearsay.
Is he a biological father, do you know?
I think so, but again, you don't really know. I mean, it's one of those...